Well, about myself, when I was 13, I went to the doctors, and he said, Keith, because I don't know if you heard the sound guy. That's my name, Keith. And he said, Keith, you're autistic. I was like, sweet, I like to draw. And he was like, no, you don't understand. You have a social disorder called Asperger's syndrome. And I was like, oh, what's that? He's like, oh, it's no big deal. You're just going to have a hard time making friends, and you're never going to get laid. So I was like, oh, well, can I still get to draw? Looking forward to that. I really do have autism, and after every single show, people always ask me this. I did a show last night, and this girl came up to me, and she's like, hey, are you really autistic? I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, you can hardly tell. So I was like, hey, are you really a girl? She's like, yeah. I was like, you can hardly tell. I always got picked on in school for having Asperger's by this kid named Josh. He used to beat me up and stuff, and he told me if I told him when he said he'd kill me, and that's very serious stuff, So I came home one day with all these bruises and marks over my face. My dad was like, Keith, what happened? I was like, oh, Josh did this to me. He said if I told him when he said he'd kill me. So I told the school you did it. By round of applause, everybody, how many people have showed up late in there once in their lifetime for school? Huh? Well, when you show up late, the teacher would always be like, hey, where are you late? And you probably said something like, oh, I'm late because I'm up all night studying, And they'd be like, where's your homework? You'd be like, the dog ate it. Well, when you have Asperger's, they're so brutally honest. I'd show up late, and the teacher would be like, Keith, why were you late? And I'm like, oh, I'm late because I'm up all night watching adult videos. And they'd be like, where's your homework? I was like, you don't want my homework. Let's just give me a C. So they gave me a C me after class. That's how I lost my virginity. My ass still hurts. Having Asperger's is hard on jobs. My very first job, I was a babysitter, and that job sucked because, sitting on babies is uncomfortable. But I used to work at a grocery store, and that job sucks if you have a social disorder because, you have to socialize. So I was scanning this guy's groceries once, and I was socializing with him. I was like, hi, how are you? He was like, horrible. I just saw my wife cheat on me with my brother, and I just feel like ending my life and letting go. Yeah. I was like, oh, do you have a Ralph's card? I was like, I can't help you with your marriage problems, but if you had a Ralph's card, I could save you 7 cents. From that bottle of rat poison you're like. I do a lot of shows at bars and stuff, and I did a bar show a couple weeks ago. This girl came up to me and she's like, hey, you're really funny. You want to go back to your place? I was like, yeah. So that's where I sleep, My place. So we go back to my place, and I had to explain to her my family moved in after the fire, stuff like that. So we go upstairs and she starts kissing me, and she whispers in my ear, if you tie me up, you can do whatever you want. That's awesome, right? So I tied her up and I started playing video games. Are you guys ready to get this comedy show started? Come on, guys, thanks so much for your first comic. Guys, he's been on Comedy Central. Please give it up for Jose Turlon. Zeus.